close to you. Unless you'd
Thanks.
prefer the headset.
I'm okay.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, local comedian.
hmm
And I've just found out fire poi spinner,
Yeah.
amongst other things.
Yeah, just do that every now and then.
Just a little side hustle sort of thing.
It's nice to have hobbies, you know.
Yeah, no, that's cool, eh? Not what I was expecting.
Mm.
So, yeah, just mixing it up a bit. But you've been doing it for a while,
Yeah, I started when I was just started uni, and I learnt from a book, which was
right?
pretty annoying because it's a
Why
very
a book? Did they not have YouTube then, or?
2011. I wasn't really using YouTube all that
Yeah,
much at the time.
right. Yep.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So I got a book on it, and I just started practicing it whenever I had exams and I wanted to procrastinate.
And it seems like the kind of thing that could be dangerous to practice, spinning flaming balls around on the end of chains.
They're usually not on fire.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you practice with just like dummy poi, or?
Yeah. So I had some ones with like these nice like veils on them at the end, and that's the first ones I
Right.
used to use.
Yeah.
And so there was only dangerous in terms of hitting you in the nose, kind of.
Right. Yeah. And how long until you sort of upgrade to actually flaming balls?
Just once you feel like you're not going to hit yourself with them, or not going to
Yeah.
get tangled, like you can hit
I had a
yourself
good
with
run,
something.
so many days without an incident marked off on
Yeah,
the calendar. Like, yeah, I think
absolutely.
we're good.
I mean, like when you're actually doing the fire spinning, you can hit yourself with them, and you won't catch fire. Like it's not that
Yeah.
quick, but like you don't want to get tangled.
Yeah, nah, it definitely looks like it'd be dangerous.
Mhm.
And sort of after 10 years, what sort of levels do you reach? Like, you mentioned putting together for fire spinning festival, maybe
Yeah.
a class?
Yeah, so some people can reach really good levels after 10 years. I, on the other hand, am pretty still mediocre.
Yeah, well, but I mean, it's still good enough that you can put together some sort
Yeah,
of,
I really like the teaching part of it. I'm not so much a performer for fire spinning, but
yeah,
I love being able to teach people a new skill.
get
And
going with the basics
yeah,
and
so there's actually a fire spinning kind of circus festival thing that happens every year, and it currently happens in Rockingham at Point Perrin. So
oh, really?
yeah,
Oh, when is that?
it's in October. I think it's all sold out now. It sells out within
Oh,
like
Wow.
2 days of the
really?
tickets being on
Oh,
sale.
wow.
Have you
So
had
you can't.
have you had anyone that's really stood out to you, like that you've engaged with teaching, or?
Um, I am so bad at names.
Oh, it's fine. Like
Human beings.
any students with like any unique talents, that sort of thing, or something you would like.
Is there
Wow, wish
people
I
that
knew
sort
that.
of get famous in the fire spinning industry?
There are people who are quite good at it.
Yeah.
In terms of like, when you're teaching someone something and like, you practice this trick for like a few weeks, you
Yeah.
get it down, and then you teach like this one person and they get it like immediately, you do kind of feel seething resentment towards them.
Yeah, absolutely. I was gonna say it must be so disheartening, just like you little
I'm glad for you.
yes
Yeah.
stabs with the eyes.
Yeah.
But yeah, right. So, and sort of what sort of class are you looking at putting together?
I'm doing an intro to poi workshop, and then I'll do an intermediate one and an advanced one on throwing the poi and catching them. Yeah.
Throwing the poi and catching it.
Yeah.
So throwing the chain with the flaming ball on it, throw that up in the air and catch the end of the chain.
Yeah, but practicing it
And
without
keep
fire.
spinning.
I don't do fire spinning very often. I don't do the throwing with the fire.
Yeah.
I'm not that confident yet. But
What about the fire breathing thing where they just
how they do that? That we don't actually do it in our groups because the actual the fire breathing where you spit the fuel out, it's actually quite dangerous, and a lot of
Yeah.
Is that actually like?
I've
Yeah.
heard there's a
alcohol or
safer
fuel or-
way to do it with
Yeah.
like corn flour or something like that.
even that, like it's actually quite dangerous. to do.
Really?
They do like a lot of other stuff like breathing in the fire, and you can blow it out, but there's like very like specific ways of doing that, and that's a lot safer. Even like putting a flame just on your arm and tracing it up and down your body is a lot safer than doing fire.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was gonna
right.
say there's different types of flames like stunt flames I've heard of. I'm not 100% sure on this industry, but I know that they've got like colder flames that won't actually burn you, that sort of thing.
There's definitely different fuels at different
Yeah.
temperatures. So something like Recasol, which is what typically we use in Perth, is a much safer fuel. It won't burn as hot,
Yeah.
and you're less likely to have like a big problem with it. It's also a lot less smelly than something like.
What about like protective oils and stuff like that as well? I mean, I know you don't want to be wearing sort of big suits and stuff for protection when you're spitting fire, but is there anything you can put on to protect you?
cotton?
Really?
Yeah, cotton. Natural fibers.
Right.
So natural fibers, if they do catch fire,
It doesn't
you can
sort of
take them
stick to you.
off. Yeah. So if you're wearing something synthetic, it'll melt onto your body, and you'll end up with two problems.
Yeah.
Wow. Have you seen accidents, or you just sort of hear about it in the
No.
industry?
No, I've been fortunate enough to not see anything like that. But I also did a chemistry degree when I was at uni, and that was one of the huge things they also pushed, which is like when you're working with a chemical reaction that can explode in your face.
Yeah.
Cotton, like a lab coat, is made out of cotton for a reason.
Right.
Yeah.
Hope for the best, prepare for the
Would
worst.
that be the same sort of thing, obviously, that fire environment and that wear, like the same sort of materials that they make their safety gear out of? Yeah.
I mean, if you just have like a cotton t-shirt, as long as it's 100% cotton from like Kmart, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And is there a big community? Like you said, the Point Parent event sold out within a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so in WA, is there a big community of fire spinners?
Yeah, I mean, like you've got different communities of it. So you've got people who are they're a bit more circusy related. There's some people who are a bit more in the rave scene. You definitely get like a more hippie crowd as well.
Yeah.
Like there's like a Fremantle meetup that's on South Beach or something that they're a bit more hippie.
So you get sort of area specific groups of people.
Well, yeah, the different
and then do you get the sort of like people that are specifically poi and specifically sort of staff and
yeah, and you get people from interstate come to Spun Out as well, which is really cool.
yeah, right.
But yeah, so there's I only spin poi. I'm probably one of the few. Yeah, a lot of people will do a few different props. I'm just someone that I picked my prop and I was like, I'll stick to it.
Yeah.
But I've got friends who can do like club juggling and staff spinning and dragon staff spinning, poi. There's like puppy hammer, which is the kind of like this really long string with two weights and you can spin it around.
Oh, I've seen, yeah.
Oh, right.
What
Yeah.
about the ones like with knives and stuff, like where they do like knife tricks and that? And is that in the same sort of thing, or is that a different thing altogether?
It's a bit different, I think. I don't really see a lot of knife throwing in like at Spun Out and stuff like that. We did have axe throwing, like people who did axe throwing.
Yeah, there would be some sort of crossover there because a lot of fire spinners would be circus performers that perform alongside knife throwers and axe throwers and stuff like that, I imagine, and stuff. But is there any sort of politics involved in it? Like sort of staff spinners like, oh, there's only one real sort of OG way of spinning fire and
not really. I'm sure there's like interpersonal politics, but if you just don't talk to people, you kind of get to stay out of it.
Yeah, just don't get involved, It's bloody politics and stuff.
Just be clueless. That's what I recommend.
Yeah, right. Just ignorance is bliss sometimes. Just enjoy spinning the fire, man. Don't get involved in all the chaos.
Head empty, hands full of fire.
Yeah,
you said there was like meetups and that, like on beaches and stuff. What happens if someone accidentally gets involved? Is it like a paid thing where they like fence it off, or is it something like you can walk in and just get to meet people?
Very casual. The one I typically go to is on a Tuesday night in Hyde Park.
Yeah.
And that's just you bring stuff, or you can rock up and see if anyone will teach you some things.
That's cool.
We always expect people to be doing proper fire safety, so having like a wet towel present, that's the best tool you can really have to try to put out any fires that do start. And having someone there to like kind of watch over and make sure that you haven't lit yourself on fire without you realizing it. But most of the time people are not spinning with fire, they're just sort of hanging out, using, practicing.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah. But yeah, I was just, when you brought up the fire safety and you mentioned Point Parent and stuff, I've actually rung the local council and asked about sort of setting up like a barbecue on the beach and having an open fire, and it is almost impossible to get a permit for that. So I was just wondering, how do they sort of approve so much fire in Point Parent as a sort of natural reserve that they're worried about getting a spark on?
I'm sure they have the permits. I'm not involved in the organizing.
Yeah,
fair
enough.
Getting us cancelled, accidentally getting us cancelled, or giving us attention. But they definitely set up like a huge wide area where it's just sand.
Yeah,
And
yeah, of
it's not
course.
it's on one of the Point Parent camps. It's actually one of the school camps I went to when I went to
Oh,
school here.
yeah.
Did you grow up here?
No, I grew up down south, down towards Albany, but I'm getting more familiar with this area.
Yeah,
That's where I had my wedding reception at
Oh,
that
really?
school
Point Parent
camp.
school
Yeah, yeah. We did it on the sand on one of the beaches and then managed to hire that for the
Wow.
reception and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know the
Like,
place, but
I
yeah,
grew
that's
up
cool.
going to school in Rockingham, and I had so
Yeah.
many school camps at Point Parent. It's such a lazy thing.
Yeah, I know, but it's like I think it's weird when people make such a big deal about doing regular trips to Bali, and I get it, the food's cheap, the
Yeah,
entertainment's cheap, it's really close and stuff, but we live in a holiday coastal destination, you know? So
Yeah.
it's like I don't understand the big attraction. We've got beautiful islands right off our coast. So.
Yeah, I will say it did feel like a bit of a rip-off when they're like, do you want to go on a school camp? 20 minutes from where you live.
Yeah, right. I can visit this on the weekend. This ain't a school camp. Yeah, a little bit
they're
weak.
probably with the fire safety in there. I'd imagine that they'd only have it during certain times of the year as well. It's just like with
Absolutely.
lighting, you know, you have like bonfires and things like that at camp.
Still October. You said
Yeah.
October?
September, October.
Oh, September. Yeah, it's only spring.
difference.
It's all still great. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's fine.
But yeah, there's definitely fire bans. We
Yeah.
definitely observe those major holidays.
No, of course. Yeah. I mean, I imagine it's well organized. It's not just a random Facebook mob group that's
Show
like,
up
yeah,
at the
let's
beach,
just
let's
all
do
show
this.
up and start spinning, you know?
And the LED technology that they're building all these props with is always developing, and so
Yeah,
there's
right.
like definitely ones where you can wave the poi in the air, and there's like a pixelated message will appear where the
Oh,
where it
wow.
trailed through.
Yeah, yeah.
So like that's always developing, or you can get a picture.
Yeah.
That's
It doesn't always have to
I
be
like,
fire.
yeah, those sparkler things where you can take the photos and have the shutter speed set so that you can actually write things in it, and it's actually really cool.
That's a whole other scary thing where they have the steel wool in the cage, and
and they're spinning around.
That's like a firestorm. That's terrifying.
Oh, really?
Yeah, right.
It's way more dangerous than fire. That's molten metal.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's hectic.
Yeah.
How do I not know about this? Sounds like fun.
You haven't set enough sponges on fire.
And what
See
is the purpose of it?
Just to get sparks.
Right, and to get images of it, or
Yeah, you can do a long
video,
exposure
photo,
image, like light painting.
right?
You know, like those paintings where they have they write words and it's like
The
you can see that,
slow exposure
Yeah,
or something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
like Happy New Year and that sort of thing, or Happy Birthday, all those things you see online.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you got like one terror.
You get it by lighting a sponge on fire or steel wool on fire.
Yeah.
Right, how have I never done this before? It sounds like the perfect sort of teenage activity.
Maybe this information was withheld from you intentionally.
Someone's been holding out on me, I'm not happy about
Your
this.
science teacher saw you in the class and was
cool
like,
that-
I'm not teaching him this thing.
Yeah, he does not have the responsibility. I cannot give him the power. No, I respect that decision. If I knew me back then, I wouldn't have told me either. So, yeah, that's the things you learn, eh? Anyway, that was just a hobby that we got onto. But yeah, also comedy.
Another hobby.
Yeah, a hobby. I mean,
no, it's not so much. It's like a second job almost.
yeah,
at this point,
you're doing
but-
paid gigs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's professional. You're professional. As soon as you
But-
pay gigs, you're a professional comedian. Come
Yes,
on.
but
Yeah.
I like to think of it as if I'm not having fun, then why am I doing it?
Yeah, of course. I imagine it'd be that sort of thing, because it'd be hard to fake that sort of energy on stage. I think people would sort of see through that a bit.
And I think they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it took Robin Williams like copious amounts of cocaine to push through and bring that energy sometimes.
Yeah. I'm doing this sober, so.
Yeah, you
I've
do.
heard-
Although we are drinking out of beer pong classic cups, you are only drinking soft drinks.
Yeah.
It's sober.
I've heard that them crowds are pretty intense. Like they don't hold back sometimes with what they actually think.
Yeah.
If someone's joke doesn't land or it's offensive or something like that.
Do you ever get hecklers?
Some people get heckled. I get heckled occasionally. I'm usually talking too quickly for someone to butt in and give their opinion.
That's the secret.
right.
That's the secret. You just talk too fast.
Just talk straight through them. Don't give them an opening, eh?
Yeah. I'm not. People know I'm not interested in what they have to say. So.
Yeah, that's all
I
right.
have that vibe.
And you can get pretty harsh criticism sometimes. Like you can never keep everybody happy. Do you sort of just ignore reviews and stuff like that? What's your sort of coping mechanisms for that?
I'm probably not the best for this. When I had some videos of me of my set posted when I did the Raw Comedy Finals. That was in front of like 1,000 people. Went on TV. I posted some short clips of that on like TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, and I definitely obsessively looked for all the negative comments.
Did ya?
Yeah.
Ah, no. But there was positive ones as well, wasn't there?
Yes. Yeah, but I didn't care about those.
But the negative ones stick, don't they?
What do you find is the best coping mechanism or best way to get through negative comments? Do you look at it as just constructive?
Fun of them, like these fools.
Yeah,
do you ever reply to them?
No.
No, you never engage.
Why would I want to talk to them?
Yeah.
They don't seem very smart.
Sometimes they're just trolls for the sake of being trolls, and that's you just give them what they want. If you were to,
someone's posting a vomit reaction to my stand-up comedy. I'm just kind of like, yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Thanks for the feedback.
Yes.
And
well-reasoned argument.
Is there many politics in comedy as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's always some politics in everything really, but particularly an art form which is essentially just people giving their opinions on stage.
Yeah, right. I was going to say, because there is a few comedians that are sort of very anti-woke crowd at the moment, which sort of conflicts with a lot of what your comedy will be based around.
Yeah.
And so do you find that creates a division in groups of comedians? Or?
I think it can.
Yeah.
But I just try not to people say people say you can't say anything anymore, and it's like it doesn't seem to be stopping you, so not seeing too much of the issue here.
Yeah. And I mean, I think comedians like to be edgy and they like to say stuff that can be a little bit controversial, but
and
is
I like
it
to do that too.
It's
on the opposite side of the spectrum.
Yeah, of course. And do you sort of look at the person's intent behind saying it sometimes? And
I kind of just assume people are just trying to get a laugh at the end of the day.
Yeah.
They're not trying to because you want to make
how much I mean it's an interesting question, like how much are people accountable for what they say, and how much can you get away with by just saying, oh, I didn't mean it was just a joke? Like,
I suppose as much as people will believe you. Yeah?
So
right. You make a joke and the audience doesn't agree with it. Like I tend to think of there's no right or wrong jokes. There's only a different.
Sorry to interrupt. Are we able to get to a song real quick?
Yeah, sure. We just need to sort some bits out and come back.
No.
Oh, sorry. That's the last thing. Just getting a signal from our tech guy at the moment. So cut to the song and then.
All right, let's go to a little bit of Palaces of Montezuma by Grinderman.
Sounds good.